Well, over the weekend, a few people left what I could call thoughtful comments on one of my videos, and even though the words were sharp at times, I could hear something underneath all of it. A shared fear. What happens when protests get out of control? When law enforcement is attacked? When cities won't act and the federal government steps in? Doesn't the oath of office require our leaders to protect us from enemies, foreign and domestic? That fear isn't irrational. It's rooted in a desire for safety, and for order, and for stability. But I want to gently offer something back, because behind that fear is an even deeper civic question. What does it really mean to protect the country? The oath that federal officials and military service members take doesn't actually mention protecting the country in the abstract. It says, "I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic." That's not just about stopping threats. It's about upholding a system of rights and laws, even when it's very hard. It doesn't mean every protester is an enemy. It doesn't mean criticism of the government is rebellion. And it certainly doesn't mean force is the first response. Now look, violence is different. Throwing bricks, attacking officers, lighting fires, that's criminal. And we already have laws for that. Those acts should be prosecuted. But when the response to protest is to surveil whole crowds or send in federalized troops, we're reaching for a level of power that's hard to walk back later. By design, the military doesn't police our cities. The Posse Comitatus Act is the default. It bars federal troops from enforcing domestic law unless Congress authorizes it. The Insurrection Act is one of the few exceptions, and even then it requires specific conditions. Either a state requests help, or regular law enforcement is no longer able to carry out the law. That's a high bar, for a reason. Because when we have blurred dissent into danger, and we've done it in the past, it hasn't gone well. In 1798, Congress passed the Sedition Act, making it a crime to publish false, scandalous, and malicious writing about the government or the president. It was used to jail critics, and voters rejected it soon after. In 1919, during the Palmer raids, thousands were arrested without warrants or charges, and many simply for holding views considered radical. And in the 1960s, COINTELPRO turned federal surveillance inward, targeting civil rights leaders including Dr. King, and the Church Committee later revealed just how far those abuses went and how long they were kept secret. So every time the justification was protection, and every time the government had to reckon with the damage afterward. The founders knew this danger. Alexander Hamilton warned that standing armies in peacetime were dangerous to liberty. And Madison feared that war and unrest would concentrate power in the presidency. And even George Washington, when confronted with the Whiskey Rebellion, didn't jump to force. He issued a proclamation, got judicial sign-off, sent peace commissioners. Only after that did he call up the militia, and even then, he didn't march them into chaos. He led with restraint. That's the model we've forgotten. We protect the Constitution, not just with strength, but with judgment. So yes, protect the country. But remember, the Constitution is the country. And anyone who raises a voice to hold power accountable, even if you disagree with them, is exercising a right that keeps all of us free. The real question isn't whether violence is wrong. Of course it is. The question is what kind of tools we reach for in response. Because once power expands, it rarely shrinks back. So let me ask you this. If liberty means anything, doesn't it mean protecting the rights of those we don't agree with? while holding ourselves and our leaders to the same standards? That's the oath. That's the republic. And that's still worth defending.